So in our last video, we left off talking about rejecting the counterfeit, and accepting the truth. Why? Because your life depends on it. You won't be able to present on the judgment day. You won't be able to present your acts of devotion, of idolatry, because you were devoted to paganism. You won't be able to say to the king, look at all the paganism I did, but I did it thinking I was doing it for you. Accept it. He's gonna say, no, I don't accept that, because I told you not to do that. I specifically told you not to look at what the heathen does. I told you in Deuteronomy chapter 12, don't even look at them and try to learn that and then try to decide how you could worship me. So we are still kind of, we are using that as a launching pad for today. And on the past Shabbat, I had an opportunity to introduce to many people a character named Jeroboam. J-E-R-O, B-O-A-M, Jeroboam. And Jeroboam was a very interesting, and I know you Hebrew scholars, I know there's no J. I'm just doing this for the people who are new. Jeroboam was a very interesting character in our Bible, because what we see in Jeroboam is very typical of what the majority of us see today in churches, in communities, among the clergy, and the so-called religious leadership of today. He is a type of the wicked side, which, to be honest with you, he represents more of the truth of what we see today than the righteous side. And Jeroboam is an interesting character because evil and wicked leadership is measured from his day and him. It is measured by Jeroboam. The wickedness of the house of Israel is measured by Jeroboam. That's how bad it is. Every king after him, they say, and he sinned according to the sin of Jeroboam, son of Nebat. When you read the kings of Israel on the northern tribe, every single one of them have a tag. And the tag on each of their names, and when you read their history, it says, and they sinned according to Jeroboam, son of Nebat. Now, he becomes the standard for the wickedness, for sin. So Jeroboam is not righteous. Jeroboam is wicked. He's hella wicked. And the question then is, what sin did Jeroboam do that made him the standard for wickedness made him the standard for evil, the standard for sin, the standard for wrong. Jeroboam was, listen, responsible for creating the counterfeit. He's responsible for the creation of the counterfeit among our people. I just want you to let that sink in. And while you're letting that sink in, I'm Dr. Yoshiyahu Dauid Ben Israel. I am Moreh at the Awakening Remnant Coalition, and I'm a seer in the house of Israel. I was called in the last days to feed the people the Torah, because that's what we need to come out of the darkness and walk in the light. We're supported through the tithes and the offerings of the people who listen and study and learn. And you see it's true. So we ask your support. We're full-time ministry. And Yah is continually blessing us. And this ministry is spreading all over the world. And you can be a part of that. So we do appreciate it. If you can see me okay and hear me all right, just place a 12 in the chat. Place a 12. And that 12 will represent the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, so I want to talk about, I got some notes here I wanted to make sure. I want to talk about this son of Nebat, Jeroboam, because I want you to see how this started. Because I already know what people are going to say. He didn't start it. Yes, he did. He started the counterfeit religion amongst the 12 tribes of Israel. Jeroboam. That's why he goes down as the most wicked king in the northern tribes. So the very first thing I want you to note, what time is it? So I'll be doing a couple of videos on this because we're going to tie it in. We're going to tie this all together. The very first thing I need you to note about Jeroboam is that Jeroboam is not, listen to the Moreh, Jeroboam is not from royalty. He's not. Number one thing we're going to learn today, that Jeroboam, he's not from royalty. Moreh, what you mean? He's not David's son. David's son that sat on the throne was Solomon. Solomon was royalty. King David was royalty. Watch. Why? Because Yah anointed King David. That's what makes David royalty. It's not because of his father, Jesse. It's not because of his great-great-grandfather, what's his name? Ruth's husband, the king. That's not why. When you study it, the reason why David became the king is because Yah chose him. And when Yah chose David, He anointed David through Samuel. And from that point forward, David was royalty. Now, I can't spend a lot of time dealing with that part of it, because we also had a king named Saul that was royalty, and he had a son named David. He had a son. Saul had Nathan, and he was royalty, but we're not dealing with that right now. Jonathan was his name, and his line got cut off. I'm talking about Saul. His line got cut off because of wickedness. When Saul's line got cut off, David anointed, Yah anointed King David. King David is royalty. King David has several sons and daughters, but Yah has chosen Solomon. I'm going somewhere with this, y'all. Hold on. Just hold on. Solomon represents royalty, but Solomon is holding a condition. His rule is conditional. Nobody wants to talk about that. None of these campers and stuff. I've been arguing with these people and trying to teach them the truth for years and years and years. David is royalty, but so is Solomon. And Solomon was told by Yah that if you turn wicked, I'm gonna split the kingdom from you. You won't have it. The house of Israel will be divided. And I don't know why Solomon didn't believe Yah. But Solomon went after strange wives who turned his heart, the Bible says. So watch. Solomon introduced into the house of Israel idolatry. He introduced it through his strange wives. So what makes Jeroboam different? Solomon introduced it, but Jeroboam instituted it. It made it an institute, institutionalized it. And it's different. Solomon went crooked with these wives and these gods and these temples and stuff. But the whole time Solomon did that, he told the people it was wrong. Yeah, this is wrong. I jacked up. I messed up bad. I messed up bad. He said the whole duty of man is to love Yah and to keep his Torah. He was like, I was a fool to do all these things, right? And Solomon talks about it. So what we see is that Solomon does not institute a counterfeit. Solomon introduced a counterfeit. But Solomon didn't set up a counterfeit system. No, he introduced the counterfeit into the system, but then at the end he said, hey, I tripped out. Don't do that. Do not do what I did. It was wicked, and it was terrible, and it was about nothing, right? Okay, so where does Jeroboam come in? Jeroboam is not Solomon's son. What, Marie? Yeah, even back in the day in church, people would say Solomon had two sons. They would say he had Jeroboam and Rehoboam. And these two sons of Solomon split the kingdom. It's not what happened. Again, that's a lie. And that is counterfeit teaching. Here at the Awakening Remnant, the reason why we ask you for tithes and offerings is because we teach the truth here. The truth is Rehoboam was Solomon's son, but Jeroboam was Solomon's servant. Yeah, he was a servant. And as a matter of fact, on the surface, he was a good servant. On the surface, the Bible calls him a man of valor, which means that he was willing to fight for what he believed was right at that time. He was willing to fight for the house of Israel, and he was able to do it. He was also physically able. He was someone that everybody knew that if it came down to it, he would throw them things now. He did not have a problem. He was a man of valor. So he worked for Solomon. Now I want you to hear me. As a servant of Solomon, he saw Solomon go crooked. He saw Solomon breaking Torah. He saw Solomon building these temples and building these idols. And he was, in a weird way, he was disappointed with Solomon. But he was not royalty. He was just a hard worker. And Solomon recognized that in him. Of course, recognized he had some leadership qualities, and therefore allowed him to be over his people, over Israel. So that the 12 tribes of Israel all knew Jeroboam, because Jeroboam was sort of like one of Solomon's right-hand men. So Jeroboam is not from royalty. Jeroboam was one of Solomon's servants. He's not Solomon's son. Rehoboam is Solomon's son. But Jeroboam, as a person, was closer to the people, because he was a servant. As a servant, he was closer to the people than Rehoboam, Solomon's son. Solomon's son was an asshole. He was terrible. He was wicked. He was arrogant and stupid. And all he could think about was himself at that time. He was a terrible person. Solomon's son. When you read about Rehoboam, oh my goodness, he was wicked, even to his own daddy. So you had this wicked son, Rehoboam. But then you had this so-called, I guess like a man's man, but he was a servant, whose name was Rehoboam. I'm sorry, I'm getting mixed up. Whose name was Jeroboam. Okay, so Maury, well, how did he get to be the king? I'm finna tell you. So, when Solomon died, Rehoboam was now the king of Israel, and for a moment, he went to his advisors and said, hey, y'all, what should I do to be king and be a good king? The old man said, look, man, you know, your father, man, he was rough on us. Well, anybody who builds a great kingdom like Solomon did. And then Solomon went crooked. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff happened. He said, what we need to do, the older people was saying, I'm paraphrasing, what we need is healing right now. We need you to ease up on the people, give the folk a chance to breathe, you know, hear their call, be benevolent, be kind, and the people will follow you. You'll be good. And so he left them and he went to talk to the people his age, the young, dumb, stupid, ignorant, no experience, having friends of his, and they all grew up privileged too. So they told him, man, don't do what this old man say. Look, you the king now. Boy, look, this is what you do. Man, you tell him, man, I'll whoop you with scorpions. I got more power in my little finger than my daddy had in all his loins. Boy, that is a nigga off the chain, ain't it? This Hebrew was unhinged, Rehoboam. So he listened to both sides and he went with the advice of the younger people. He went with the advice of and rejected the words of the elders, and he accepted the advice of the young stupid people. And when he made his proclamation, the people was like, nigga, I don't know who you think you are. And they would have killed Rehoboam. And so I'm fast forwarding now. So basically the people remembered Jeroboam because of his work with them, because of his quote unquote loyalty, because of his leadership ability, because he was a man of what they thought was a man of valor. But watch this. He was also attractive to them because he was a man of the people. He was not royalty. And they were like, let's take this man of the people and make him our king. So they called Rehoboam. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. So they called Jeroboam and made him the king. Now, I kind of, I skipped the part that I see my time is running out. So I think I'll pick up the next video right here. Before the people called Jeroboam, Jeroboam met with a prophet. The prophet's name was Ahijah. And Ahijah told Jeroboam, he said, man, listen, y'all's gonna split the kingdom. What he did, he took a cloak, he tore a brand new cloak. He tore his cloak into 12 pieces and he gave him 10. He said, y'all getting ready to do something, man. Getting ready to split Solomon's kingdom and give you 10. And Solomon gonna have 2. Solomon will have Judah and Benjamin. But you are gonna have 10. This was a prophecy. Way before it happened, right? In other words, Yah had basically warned him or told him before it even happened that when Rehoboam acts a fool, the people are going to turn to you. So the man had a heads up on it. So it ends up happening just like they said, just like Yah said, just like it was prophesied. And Jeroboam was called to take over the 10 tribes by the people. And that is when you see his true colors. See, a person who is a number 2 man, you won't really know that person and how wicked they are until that number 2 man becomes the number 1 man. The mindset of the number 2 man a lot is, I hate the number 1 man. I'm just being a nice person to this number 1 man. But oh, if I was number 1, what would I do? And so a lot of times, people are always caught off guard when a person who was a co-worker, you know, they work with you. Some of y'all got co-workers, right? You always get caught off guard when that co-worker get promoted, and then all of a sudden starts to act like a god over you. You're like, nigga, we were just in the break room together. You just got promoted last week, and now you busting my chops. You checking my card. You doing this and doing that. It's because the whole time he was on your level, all he could think about is if he ever got above you, he would wreak havoc upon you to prove his own self-worth. That he should have always been the boss. He does not despise the boss and despise the boss's mindset or the boss mentality. He envies it. He is covetous of it. Because what he wants to do is be able to wield that kind of power. But he has to hold that in as long as he's your co-worker. Same way with Jeroboam. Jeroboam was never, ever on Yah's side, wanting to do things Yah's way. He was just a good servant. He was a good worker. But we didn't see his heart until he got the 10 tribes. And when he got those 10 tribes, which is where we'll pick up the next video, when he got those 10 tribes, he did what Solomon didn't do. He instituted into those 12 tribes counterfeit worship. And right now, what you have in your church is counterfeit worship. And what you have in your pulpits is Jeroboam. You got that person that's over your church who said, if I ever get this church, if I ever am in leadership, this is what we're going to do. It has nothing to do with the Torah. It has nothing to do with the commandment. He had nothing to do with the covenant. He had nothing to do with anything. He only has to do with his own self-aggrandizement, his own self-promotion, and his own self-protection. He's not thinking about the people. He's thinking about himself. So he institutes a form of religion that is a counterfeit in order to secure his position. Oh yes, that's what these preachers are doing and these pastors. That's why they can't get rid of none of this paganism that the Morehyosh be talking about. Why? Because all they can think about is securing their position. Why? Because they're not royalty. They haven't been called. They're counterfeit. I'm different. More, what do you mean you're different? I'm different. I was called. That's why I told my church, we're not doing Sunday no more. When I found out the truth. That's why I told them we're not doing Christmas and Easter and all that. Why? Because I'm not trying to secure my place. I'm trying to keep true to the Torah. I'm trying to give Yah praise, honor, and glory. I don't operate in the counterfeit no more. And anything that I see that is counterfeit, I get rid of it. Because we're supposed to be now walking in the truth. Yes, I'm Dr. Yoshiyahu Dauid Ben Israel of the Awakening Remnant Coalition. If you would like to support this work, we are supported through the tithes and the offerings. Pray and ask Abba Yah how you can be a part of helping to wake up the house of Jacob. I gotta go, Zion, because of time. But remember, one love. always. And never, ever follow the counterfeit over the truth. Be strong. We'll be back in the next video to talk about what Jeroboam did. Hallelujah. Shalom.